Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sean and welcome to Crypto Society. The topic of today is how to identify really bad projects. I will start by identifying some characteristics of bad projects. After that, I will go into some telltale signs with real examples of what a scam project looks like. So the first thing that I have to say is that even if some projects check some of the boxes on this list, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are bad projects. That's why when you read online about these shitcoins or scams, you'll often find them categorized on a spectrum depending on how risky they are. So the first sign I want to go through is that the team is anonymous. We saw this with the Squid Game coin. When you went to their website, you found pictures of all the people on the team, and when you Googled their names, nothing came up. On the flip side, if the team members of a project have all revealed their faces, it's generally a pretty good sign, because if the project is a scam, then everybody knows who these people are and they've basically doomed themselves. They'll have to run away to some secluded part of the world and hope that no one finds them. As I said before though, just because they're anonymous, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad project. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's creator is anonymous, and it's the #1 cryptocurrency in the world, and I'm personally a huge fan of Bitcoin. I even have a Bitcoin shirt. The next red flag that I want to look at is if the project is riding off the coattails of an already existing brand. We can see again with the Squid Game token, it was completely using the popularity from the Netflix series Squid Game. People saw the brand name Squid Game and thought, oh, this is going to be popular. Other people are going to invest in it. I better invest first. This is really dangerous. Don't do that. Red flag. Another example would be Shiba Inu, which is totally copying off of Dogecoin. And even another example would be Baby Doge, which again is copying off of Dogecoin, which itself is a meme coin. Don't invest in this crap. The next thing I want to look at is if a celebrity that has nothing to do with blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, investing, randomly plugs the coin on their Twitter or social media. This might sound obvious, but there are so many people who will blindly follow big celebrities and not really look into the project. I will say though that if a celebrity promotes a coin that's either really bad or a scam, it's gonna make them look really bad and damage their reputation. The next sign I want to talk about is the tokenomics. So many bad projects that I've seen have an insanely high token supply. If we look at Shiba Inu, for example, the max supply of their tokens is like a 12 or 13 digit number. It's insane. I personally would never invest in something that has that many tokens. I personally believe that this is kind of like a psychological trick that a lot of projects do. It makes it so that if you spend like $100 on their project, you get like 10,000 tokens. And when you look at that amount of tokens in your wallet, it seems really big. It's like an illusion of you being rich or something. Let's compare this to something like Bitcoin, which has a max supply of 21 million. And Bitcoin is also deflationary, so no more tokens can be created than 21 million. The next red flag I want to talk about is a project self-reporting their own data or tokenomics or anything like that. If they're basically saying, trust us when we report to you our numbers, that is a red flag. On the flip side, if a project is audited by a reputable company like Paladin, that is a good sign. On that note, I have two really good websites that you guys should check out if you want to check how risky a project is. The first one is called rugdoc.io. They rate cryptocurrency projects on a spectrum to let you guys know how risky something is and how likely it is that it's a scam or just a very bad project. Definitely use this website. Another really good website is called Token Sniffer. They do something very similar, but I personally prefer Token Sniffer. It's just a bit easier for me to read and understand. I will link both of these websites down in the description. Next thing I would check would be the TVL, the total value locked. So as Coin Bureau, a popular crypto YouTuber, said, if a project has over $100 million in TVL, they should probably have tens of thousands of followers on their social media, whether that be Twitter, Discord, or on CoinMarketCap, where you can actually check how many people are watching a certain coin. And going a little bigger, if something has like over $1 billion of TVL, they should have around a few 100,000 followers on their social media, whether that be Discord, Twitter, or you can also check CoinMarketCap, as I said earlier. However, if something has a low market cap or a low amount of money coming in and out of it every day, that's not a good sign. The project is either stagnant or there's some funny business going on, so I would be very hesitant to invest in a project like that. On the note of social media, I would always go to a Discord and see how active something is. If you ask a question, are people kind? Will they respond to you in a nice way? Or is it pretty empty? And when you ask a question, you get no response for days on end, if ever. Again, taking one of these red flags alone is not enough to say something is a bad project or a scam, but many of them combined makes for a very risky project to invest in. Another sign of a bad project is if their token has no real use case. I actually recently invested into a project called Solend. I think Solend is amazing and it allows you to deposit your Solana and take out stable coins with your Solana as collateral. It pays you in its native Solend token as a reward for you depositing on their platform. However, the Solend token doesn't do anything. Therefore, when people get it, they just sell it. There's no reason to hold it. You can't stake it. You can't do anything. It doesn't give you any benefits. So this is the sign of a token that's running only on hype. And I would be very, very careful with tokens that have no use case. I still like the Solend project, but I wouldn't feel comfortable investing a lot into their token until they give us a way to use it, whether that be staking or some other benefit for holders of the token. Basically, all I'm saying is that you want to invest in a project that has tokens that incentivize you to hold them. That creates long-time holders and makes for a stable project. The last thing I want to say about bad projects is it's hard to find their tokens on major exchanges. I really like KuCoin and I also like FTX. But depending on what country you live in, you're gonna have some major exchanges in your country. I'm currently living in South Korea and here there are 4 major crypto exchanges. So if you can't find the token you're looking for on one of these major exchanges, then it's either a new project, a small project, or it's a shady project. On the flip side, if you can find that project on one of these big exchanges, then that's a really good sign because there are a lot of requirements for you to list a token on one of these big official exchanges. Now we're gonna look into some red flags for scams. The biggest red flag is if you put your money in and you can't take it out. Obviously, that's a huge red flag. Again, we could look at the Squid Game coin where a lot of people put money in, saw their money go up, but were not allowed to take their money out of the Squid Game coin. Again, a lot of these red flags will be checked for on the websites Rug Doctor and Token Sniffer. It's not only Squid Game coin though. A lot of projects have a mandatory lockup. In other words, if you put money in, you're not able to take it out for a few days or a week or whatever. I would be very careful with projects like that don't allow you to take your money out immediately. The next scam alert is if something is too good to be true. I almost fell for a scam on YouTube when I saw the creator of Cardano, Charles Hoskinson, talk about Cardano on a podcast. On this YouTube video, below in the description, there was a link to another website that claimed it would double your Cardano if you send it to their wallet. I was first getting into crypto and I looked into it and I was like, this sounds amazing. And I looked at the website and I was like, this is too good to be true. So I ended up not doing it and I'm very happy I didn't. But I know a lot of people have fallen victim to scams like this. But as many people have said, you don't get something for nothing. With high reward comes either high risk or a lot of effort. The last thing I will talk about in terms of scams is if the white paper itself and the website has typos. If someone really wants a project to succeed and is not just trying to make a quick buck, they're gonna treat this project like their baby. When you start a business or you start a project or you start anything that you really want to do well, you make sure that everything is as good as it can be before you launch it. You don't rush to make a website or do these things and have tons of typos everywhere. And if you do launch something and there's typos, you should fix it immediately. However, if there are typos on the website and in the white paper and they stay there for days or weeks on end, it's clear that someone doesn't give a shit about this project and they only care about the money. So that is a huge red flag. I could go on and on about small things here and there that you should be careful of, but I think I hit a lot of the major points. So that's it for this video, and let me know of any other things about cryptocurrency that you want me to make a video about. I read all the comments and try to respond as quickly as I can. So with that, I will say bye and see you in the next video. Bye.